All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back for this follow-up on what I promised to follow through on. That is my explanation of no such thing as would've, could've, should've. And I can give unlimited examples of this. And certainly I'll give a couple of, two or three as I go through this. But again, the major premise is this: there is no such thing as would have, could have, or should have. Not what I would have done, not what I could have done, or not what I should have done or should have said, or whatever the case. If that's not what happened, that is not what happened. That is not reality. And unfortunately, there are far too many people that live in a fantasy world, or they project into unreality what would have happened had they done this or said this or done. I mean, we just can't do that. We all have to live in the reality of what is. And as a famous saying that we've all been accustomed to for the last, I don't know, decade or so, it is what it is. Okay. Now that doesn't mean we're all fatalistically, not in any kind of control of decisions. We all have to make decisions every day, hundreds, perhaps even thousands of decisions every day, no matter how minor they are or seem to be. Every decision that we make, there are reactions or repercussions or ramifications based upon the decisions that we make every day. So it is not as though we're just fatalistically doomed to whatever happens. No, that's not what we're talking about here. But what I'm talking about here primarily is the fact that you can't change what reality is or what has already transpired. We all understand that. But somehow or another, we live or have a tendency to, especially when we want a better outcome for something that may happen in our life, to say, well, I should have done this, or I could have done this, and we tend to project, for example, if I would have married such and such a person, then my life would have been a lot better. Well, that may be true. That may not be true. You don't know that because you didn't marry that person. Okay? And because you didn't marry that person, you can't automatically project into reality or into the future what would have been, because that's not what happened. So there's no reality in what we are, and what we do in, projecting things out or living in regret. And this is problematic, by the way. And it's a very, very serious thing, by the way. And I take this very seriously because there are so many people that live in despair, live in, again, this alternate world of unreality that's not real, because they live in the past, or they live in a fantasy world of what would have been or could have been, what they thought would have been, based upon something that they didn't do years ago. Oh, if only I had went to school and gotten my degree, then I would have. No, well, if that's not what happened, that's not what happened. And so you can't say that had you gone to school and done this and gotten your degree, that you would be in a better position or a better place. Is it possible? Yes. But is that reality? No, that's not the reality. You can't say automatically that had you done this, then this is where you would be, or this is what the circumstance or the outcome would have been, because that's not what happened. So for me, there's no such thing as would have, could have, should. Now, I know this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt some of you still. And all I got to do is say two numbers, 28 to 3. All of you already know what I'm talking about. Got on the colors, as a matter of fact. Now, those of you who remember, and I know you do, saw the game, and when Julio caught that ball, we can say all day long, all we had to do, they should have run the ball. If he would have run the ball on the next play or the next couple plays, Freeman was averaging 8.3 yards per carry. Oh, if he would have run the ball, we would have won the game. We would have won the Super Bowl. Probability factor? Yes. Is it a guarantee that it would have been that outcome? No. We don't know what would have happened if Dan Quinn and the genius offensive coordinator would have run the football. They didn't. It is what it is. Can't change it. You can't say that we would have won the Super Bowl if we would have run the football. Because you don't know what would have happened. He might have fumbled. New England picked it up, running back. We don't know what would have happened. So you can't project because it might have seemed the sensible thing to do. And believe you me, I'm with you. I'm there. Run the ball. But again, I can't say that if we would have, then that's what would have happened. I can't say if Draymond Green hadn't gotten suspended for Game 6, or if Chris Paul wasn't hurt, or if, well, oh my God, we've got all kinds of scenarios that we've painted in our mind to, again, say what would have happened if this. It's not what happened. So for me, there is no would have, could have, should have. And so what we need to learn to do, especially as people of God, those of you who are in the faith, learn to forget the past, good things and bad things, okay? Paul said it this way, not that I've already attained, I'm already perfect. And he said, this one thing that I do, he said, I have learned to forget those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are in front of me, before me, ahead of me. In other words, I can't change the past. Paul, if you know his story, he was the one who persecuted the church, slaughtered. He couldn't go back and change it. Oh man, if I would have, or if I could have, I should have known better. There's nothing he could do about that. It was the past. It had happened. It was a reality. He had been forgiven. God had washed away his sins. It's over. He can't go back and undo it. There is no would have, could have, should have. The reality is it happened. So he learned to put the past behind him. Joseph had to do the same thing. Here a man was discriminated against by his own family. His own brothers hated him so much they wouldn't even speak to him. This is his own house. We're not talking about racism in a country. We're not talking about sexism. We're not talking about classism. We're talking about in his own house, his own family, his own brothers sold him into slavery. You know what Joseph did after he got into Egypt? And the Lord was with him, by the way. So that's the most important thing. Got to remember that if God is with you, it doesn't matter the obstacles, and you don't worry about the woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff in life. You learn to move on, forget the past. And Joseph had two sons born to him while he was in Egypt, and he called the firstborn Manasseh. He said this, because God has made me to forget all my toil. God helped me to forget all of the would've, could've, should've. That it is what it is. And now God has caused me to be fruitful in the land in which I'm now living. So I learned to put the past behind me. I learned to forget it. And as a matter of fact, let me just say this one more thing about one of my favorite characters in all the Bible. When his brethren finally came to meet up with him, and it's a very long story, but it's a short story, a short ending. Let me give you the Cliff's Notes version. When they came to meet up with him the second time, Joseph told his brethren, as he forgave them, he said, "It wasn't you who sent me here, but God. Even though you meant it for evil, God meant it for good." And so a lot of times, again, if we'll get out of what other people are doing or what is happening to me, or even some of the decisions that I made that caused me to be in the circumstances that I'm in, I need to learn to forget that. I need to learn to move on. I can't go back and reverse what has happened in my life. And again, as it pertains to this operation, this procedure that I've had, the bypass surgery, hey, there's a number of factors that causes blockages in arteries. And only one of them has to do with diet. And that may be a big part of it. But for me, in my case, the doctor said for the most part, it was hereditary. And I did have my share of hamburgers and cheeseburgers. Believe you me, I ate my share of potato chips and French fries. All of the lovely, wonderful, high cholesterol foods, I ate them and enjoyed them, by the way. So I have no regrets about it. I can't go back and change that. Oh, if I would have, oh, if I should, oh, I should. I can't. It is what it is. And so I live life knowing that God is in control of all things. And I'll talk about that a little later. But hey, there's no would've, could've, should've. I'm at peace with God, and I know that He was there all the time. He preserved me all the time. And again, I'll explain that later. I could have been dead a long time ago. But there's no, well, what did I say? I could have. See, I just did it. No, God is in control. There's no would've, no could've, no should've. My time is appointed by God, and it is in His hand. And so that's where I am. No woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm trusting God all the way. So I hope that you will take this to heart and understand that you can't undo anything. You can't project something that would have happened had you done. Oh, let me share one more real quick. One of my favorites. Years ago, I had a job offer with Home Depot. When they first started, the very first store on Jonesboro Road, this was back in the 80s, I had a job offer at the store when it opened, and they offered me the job. I already had a full-time job, but I was kind of, I was really hesitant about doing it. I wasn't exactly, I guess, I overwhelmed with the job offer, I guess, at the time. But boy, I can look back now and say, man, if I would have taken that job, I should have taken that job, I would have been a millionaire. Possibly. But maybe I wouldn't have been. I don't know. I was an investor then. I no doubt would have invested. I would have no doubt taken the stock and probably held on to it. Maybe. I mean, I can project all kinds of things in my mind. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not what happened. I didn't get the job. I didn't take the job, brother. I didn't accept the job. And so I don't go back looking at, I would have, I could have, I should. No, it's not what happened. It's not what happened. I don't regret the path that God has me on right now. The places I've worked, the things I've done, the career path, no regrets. God has purpose in everything that happens in my life. No would have, no could have, no should have, no such thing, period. That's where I am. That's where I hope you'll be also. I'm out.